Hi, I'm Pete Barry, Product Management Director at Sani-Matic. Welcome to today's TACT Talk on designing components and systems with operators and maintenance in mind. Today, we're talking with Wendell Hall, Senior Product Designer with Sani-Matic. Thanks for joining us, Wendell. Can you let us know what your role entails at Sani-Matic?
I'm Senior Product Designer working in the Product Development Group. I've been here for about almost 14 years. But I've been working in the food industry for close to 40 years. So,
okay, great. So you've been with Sani-Matic 14 years, and you mentioned food industry for almost 40 years, which is amazing. Tell us about your past history. What kind of past experiences have you had in the food industry?
well, I started out in actually a food manufacturing plant as a maintenance mechanic. And so from there, obviously, I learned a lot about maintenance. I worked as a line supervisor. And then a few years later, I became a shift supervisor for a while. But through that experience, I got an awful lot of time working with fabrication, designing, installation. So I really developed a lot of skills relative to fabrication, welding, cutting and forming, bending sheet metal, some machining.
Sure. So that's great. So new product development at Sani-Matic. Sounds like a lot of hands-on actual maintenance technician experience. So it sounds like that gives you a lot of great insight when you're designing new products for Sani-Matic, right? You kind of always have that operator or maintenance guy in mind in the back of your head.
Oh, absolutely. Well, not only the end user, but also the fabricators out in our shop. They're a very strong resource. When I'm doing a new design, I'm talking to them quite frequently to get their opinions about how to do something, what they are capable of, or what the equipment is capable of. And also, just as you say, from my own personal maintenance experience, just always trying to design, keeping the end user in mind, making things as accessible as possible, meaning, at a convenient height whenever it's practical, making things so they're not obstructed by other things. So just always trying to think in terms of, if I had to work on this unit,
sure,
would I be happy doing it?
Yeah, awesome. So I know you've been working on a few things lately, including a new hygienic strainer for the biopharm industry, and then also a new cabinet washer for personal care and nutraceutical type industries. So let's start with the hygienic strainer. Any specific examples on, as we went through the development process for that product, where you thought, all right, the operator or maintenance person needs to do this, and let's think about the design this way or that way?
Sure. I think in particular, one thing nice about the product development group is we are given the opportunity to have extra time to spend in developing. And that's a real luxury that always the production engineering can't afford. So we actually spent a lot of time. In particular, I'm thinking of on this strainer you mentioned, the insert has an end cap which screws on with a bayonet style mount. And we went through several iterations until we came up with something that we felt would work. Also working with a vendor, they had suggested that for the twist off end that they would like to see a cross bar. Mm-hmm. But when we actually did some prototyping with it in-house, we found that it was rather difficult to get your hand on it, to twist it. So again, we went back to the vendor. They had they had requested it because of registration for their machining, but they were fine with just putting a single bar on. So that made it much more easy for the operator to be able to twist it on and off.
Okay, yeah, that's an awesome example. So kind of working through machinability of parts and optimizing that side of it, but then also thinking about the operator standpoint of, hey, does this part actually work with what we have the operators working on as they take apart the strainer? So that's great. So switching gears then on the cabinet washer for the personal care and nutraceutical industry, a much more in-depth and complicated and complex product development project, I'm sure, from comparing it against a strainer, but challenges or interesting obstacles there so far?
Well, it's been an adaptation of a similar unit that we have targeted for the food industry, but we were really trying to look at this at a whole new approach. Obviously, it's kind of a quasi food pharma hybrid.
Sure.
But one thing in particular I was looking at was accessibility for things like when you have to change out gaskets or service the level sensor underneath. And so when I was doing the designing, I really was looking at trying to keep everything as close as possible to the edge of the cabinet so that you could reach them easily.
Great. Awesome. Well, this was great, enlightening. Thanks for your time, Wendell. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Be sure to catch other TACT Talk videos at our website or subscribe to our YouTube channel.